Monstrorum Historia. Monsters can be anything and anywhere. They're in our past, our present, and will most definitely be a part of our future. As children, we are introduced to the feelings of monstrous fear through the nighttime, with our imaginations leading us to believe that there is a mysterious being that lives within the darkness of our households and bedrooms. Even media and television showed us that monsters can really be anything your imagination wants it to be, whether it's a house, a doll, a fighter jet, or maybe it's a person you would never expect it to be. And to us at a young age, those were the scariest monsters. However, as we grew, we began to fear new things, illustrating a point that monsters are real. However, what is considered to be a monster changes with society as time goes on. Now, Monstrorum Historia, written by Ulisse Aldrovandi, is a massive book which describes various monsters that have existed over centuries. Some monsters we still see today in our world, and others that are from a world of the past. Aldrovandi's work also provides illustrations to emphasize how scary, deformed, and odd the monsters were. The first monster which caught my attention was the Gallus Indicus auratus tridactylus, or as we know it today, the peacock. This one in particular made me laugh because today we see peacocks as beautiful creatures, so lively with their bright colors and amazing patterns on their feathers, especially when they extend their feathers and you can admire the full beauty that they behold. Even Aldrovantes described them as blue wings adorned with white branches hang from below. The wings are a very different color. For the first dark wing is an attractive green, but they are so bright and smooth that they seem to be making little flames, and white lines run through the middle of them, which travel very intensely. Now this description of them is exactly the way we see peacocks today. However, the fact that this was in his book really amused me. I imagined the first individual to come across an animal to be out hunting or gathering for food, only to come across this, and for it to attack that person makes me laugh, as I imagine it would have gone down like a Canadian goose attack. No regard for human life, fighting until it kills or is killed, just a modern day monster. And that's when I understood the fear of the peacock at the time, as they just must have been absolute savages around their nests. Aldrovandi said it himself in his opening paragraph. Nature is astonishing in the manner of conforming to the concepts of animals. And this statement has a lot of truth behind it, because in the 21st century, we have conquered nature that we see on land, and peacocks are no longer seen as monstrous, but rather a sight to enjoy and marvel at. And this goes back to the idea that monsters are real. However, what is considered to be monsters changes with society as time goes on. The second monster that really caught my eye was the chimera, a fire-breathing being with the front of a lion, the middle of a goat, and the tail of a dragon. Honestly, one of the more wicked monsters I've ever heard of. Like, come on, 3 animals in one and it breathes fire? It's hard to say that that isn't the coolest thing ever. The story behind this one is amazing too. Greek mythology talks about the chimera as an entity which conquered basically an entire countryside in Lycia. And so one day the king decided to send someone he didn't like to try and kill it because he thought that person would die. Well, unfortunately for him, he sent Bellerophon, a warrior who actually was able to defeat Chimera with his winged horse Pegasus. This story is great. Greek mythology is by far my personal favorite, but there are many things about this that can lead you to be like, did that really happen? So it connects to, do you remember being a kid and the game telephone was first introduced to you? And you couldn't fathom the idea that a simple sentence could be so mangled from the first person to the last. But by the end, the last kid was saying something that was completely different than the opening sentence? Yeah, well, that's kind of what happens to monsters sometimes. Through generations of storytelling, translations, and interpretations, there may be changes in events, descriptions, and also the general understanding of the story or what was seen. And although we may not be able to pinpoint exactly where the changes occurred, we still may know that they did happen. Don't get me wrong though, I would love nothing more than to see and believe that there was a lion, goat, dragon organism terrorizing people for years, just for a man and his flying horse to come along and stab it in its back. Like, look at that. It's incredible, and I think that's a phenomenal storytelling. And the great thing about monsters is that this was believable to the Greeks. They ate it up. They knew the story of Bellerophon, the hero who freed Lycia from the Chimera. And although modern science is definitely a buzzkill in regards to this story, it is still so cool to know that there was an entire society that believed and may still believe in the content of the story. Monsters like Chimera and the story that surrounds her are the best, because it shows that monsters are real. They may not be real to us, but they were definitely real to those before us, and that's the beauty of monsters. We are always scared of something, it's just a matter of what it's going to be.